Hello everyone and welcome to the Grove. My name is Hawk and today I'm continuing my creative design, creative world build design showcase tour that I'm going on. I really need to pick a shorter name, but this will work for right now. Anyway, I thought I would head over to where I have my Copperwood condos set up because right now we're back where I was showcasing last stream, not last stream, last video, where I was showcasing the tailor shop design. So that will be in a playlist in the end card if you want to do that, or it should be one of my last couple of videos if you want to head over to see what other videos I have. But let's just worry about the current video. So let's head over there and let me show you where everything got started. All right, so now we're back at where the actual design elements that I have laid out for the Copperwood condos, and we're going to start with this thing right here, which is me trying to figure out how big I wanted to make the condos, because I wanted to have a set size, and I'm going to fix this because I just realized there's a mistake in there. I knew I wanted to have a center section because I knew I wanted to have the campfire here and put it in the center, and then I wanted to make sure I had a specific amount of blocks just out from the center so every side would be even. And in order to help with that, I created this little diagonal to figure out how big I wanted, and I ended up making a 15 by 15 by 4 interior. Yes, according to the sign. Because somebody asked in chat because I was building this on stream, and so I wrote down the dimensions so I wouldn't forget it. You also have this collection of items because I wanted to make sure I had all of these items inside it so that I wouldn't forget. And so this is more of just making sure I had, even if someone wanted to have their own like mini room, then we could have a mini room. I didn't end up using it in one section, but this way I knew everything that I wanted to be in the condo itself. So you have the campfire, because the campfire on the SMP gives regeneration, so it's really good to have inside of a structure bed so they can set their spawn. And then the different types of furnaces, because blast furnaces smelt ores fast, so if you want to get metals such as iron, then you can also use the smoker to do the same thing, but for food, so like cooking meat, items such as that, potatoes for baked potatoes, and then furnaces that can cook anything. And then anvils, so you can repair items, or you can rename items, especially good for plot lore items. Stonecutter, which I actually used when creating the stone bricks, because it's very useful to get the different stone variations. It's a lot easier than trying to craft it in a crafting table, although crafting table is necessary for any home environment when you're on a server or just in a Minecraft world. The chests are for storage, and of course an ender chest, which has its inventory shared between all of the ender chests but still tied to a specific player. It's just very useful to have in, again, just another piece useful to have in a living space. So then I was trying to decide on the sort of segments, because you see here that there's the different segments that I had. This is not only just for size, although that was one of the reasons I made the cross and diagonal. I also wanted it so I could have these round bits, because I'm trying to think of, okay, how could I have an interior, what sort of design I wanted it to have, so that it could be more of a decoration sort of aspect. And then I remembered the sort of circles of, they're like round areas in Lord of the Rings Hobbit. So I have this sort of rounded shape to sort of mimic that, and then I just decided on what I wanted for the floor, what I wanted for the ceiling, so then it would be easy for me to copy and paste like I did over here. So if I wanted to, I could just take this, and then move it over here, so it'd be very easy for cloning and just rotating as well, because I like using Axiom. This is the second build. So my first build was the tailor shop that I used Axiom on, and then this one I ended up using Axiom to get everything sorted. So say I wanted to extend this build to make it more of just a half, then I could just do this, match up the sides so they're even, so there's only one block between them, and then if I confirm, then it extends the area. So having a section that's specifically just one quadrant helped a lot when building and figuring out the size and design. And this design is sort of a prototype of the exterior. So you have the stripped acacia and the spruce. I ended up swapping those because I just I didn't want to have to do so much stripped acacia. I already had enough for the interiors, so I ended up doing spruce, which is a lot easier to collect. And so I swapped the acacia. As you can see in this design, I had the acacia stairs. I just put those outside as well, as you'll see later on in the video. And then this is a prototype of the mailbox. I ended up, as you can see, it's a mailbox for a person. So I did stick with the barrels, although I ended up switching the granite and out for deep slate, and the this bottom wall I ended up changing to a copper bulb, which I will fully explain later on. And then this was a decoration because I needed to fill the space, although later on you'll see how I decided to change this in order to make it more functional instead of just decorative. And of course, this is what the space is if none of the acacia decorations, none of these structural supports are in place, so I could get more of an idea of the dimensions in case somebody wanted to just take out all of that. Because once you get a condo, you get to change all of the interior, so you can remove these walls. It's just the exterior, which I had like a huge desire in. I also had a lantern here. This sort of section is sort of overhauled in the final design. And this staircase was me trying to figure out how staircases can work. This part of the design I ended up changing, but I just wanted to have it in case I wanted to look at it, because it was originally going to be here. Now, when I had it like this, it's very wide, and so it took up a lot of space, so I ended up changing to this middle area, which acts more of a grand staircase, and it actually ended up making this area a lot wider and more open. So I really liked how it worked out. And then you could also have these two planters on either side, which technically could fit in this middle section here, but I ended up just putting it here. So you can have these planters here on either side. You do have these little areas which you can just sit and have a picnic on. On the server, you can actually right-click when you're looking down and end up sitting down, but I don't have that on my actual playtest server, design server. So this is the mailbox, and so you still have the sign and everything, but why I changed it was because then you can turn this on, and of course you can turn it off. And the reason I decided to do it this way is because there may be something inside the barrel, but how are you going to know? You need to check it, so I figured a bulb which can turn on and off made sense. And because it's copper, then it fits with the steampunk aesthetic that the base that I'm a part of is trying to do. And of course, acacia is close to the copper, which is also why I've just been using acacia throughout the whole build, and why I chose that button specifically instead of a spruce. And of course, you have the front, so you have the deep slate, which is a darker color than the cobblestone and stone stairs, so I just added it as another. I added it. It was a bonus block that added more contrasts before the cobblestone and the stone brick. And you also have the spruce, which acts as a similar way, where it's just it also adds a color rather than just a texture, so it's not all gray. And because I did that, then I was able to have the brighter orange acacia act as more of an accent color. So I did that for the lantern, and of course I added hanging signs for the condo because I thought it'd be fun just have hanging signs, because I hadn't fully used them in a build yet, so wanted to use them, and this way I could also have oak signs. I wanted oak signs because it's a lot easier to read the letters, and it's a classic. And then it would match this one, the mailbox, which I had already had. And then I said that I changed this section of the design, so this would be like over there with the fences and the stairs. I ended up changing it to be the water elevators between the bottom and top halves of the condo complex. So you have the drop chute, which helps you go down, but first you need the elevator. So I was wondering if I was going to need to use glass for this part, but turns out, no I don't. I can just use lightning rods because they're thinner. So due to Minecraft water mechanics, this water stays in place, but it's still trapped by the lightning rods. It's very funky, very much a Minecraft thing. It's not realistic at all, but I like it. And then the soul sand here actually causes bubbles, which push you up. So you're able to get to the second level, and then when you want to go down, if you want to go down without the staircase, then you can just plop down and not take any damage. Although I'm creative, I wouldn't be taking any damage anyway. But here's the final design that I came up with for the interior of the condos. So, of course, you have the fireplace in the middle. Like I said, I wanted earlier, have the fire in the middle. But you also have the under chest here, right next to your bed, which you can set your spawn in. I ended up having it a 2-wide bed with some nightstands just to fill the space on the wall a little bit. And then, of course, diamond armor. The under chest and diamond armor, I actually had later on in the design. You'll see in the other condos, I actually don't have those elements because I didn't think about adding them. And so they're actually bare. But Medi reminded me that when I was trying to think of what little bits to add, because we managed to get the final like big area done before the second wave campers ended up coming onto the server. So we ended up adding some armor and the under chests, which are always supposed to be part of the design, and I just forgot. And of course, you also have the storage room, so that there's space for stuff to be stored, because this is supposed to be a setup area where your stuff can be while you're setting up, and so having a good sized storage room, it's really good to have. And I'm really glad that the numbers worked out with how big the section was going to be, so that it's double chests and I didn't have to have like one line of single chests, which annoyed me a little bit in storage rooms, but I liked how even everything is in this space. So, and because they start off as empty without any signs, a person who gets the condo can just use whatever storage system they want, as long as it's chests. Or, I mean, I guess they could figure out how to auto-sort, but right now, you have these. And then, of course, you have the workshop area. This workshop area, you have anvils, so you can rename items, repair them, stonecutter, crafting table, smithing table, which can be used to upgrade diamond to netherite, which is the strongest material in the game for armor and tools, or you can add trims to your armor, which just makes them fancier. And of course, grindstone, because then you can combine durabilities, but you also disenchant items, and then the furnaces, which I explained earlier, and of course a table, a lovely table, because that we have a place to sit down in lore, and you don't have to awkwardly have a slab or sit on the floor. And fun fact, one of the people on the SMP actually set up armor stands and posed them, so it looks like people are chatting at the table, which I find very cute. So that's the interior. And then I explained some of the exterior. And if you go up here, so you have this stairs, you have the planters, and then of course you have outside benches, which would be more like picnic benches in the real world, which serve the same purpose as the benches I showed in the interior. So that's sort of the design of just this section. And so I had one version that was in this area in the world. So I took a slice of the world and used one of the mods that I have to put it in my creative world, so I could figure out how this all fits inside the server. Obviously, I need to extend this staircase. I almost got it extended and finished in the SMP itself, but I still need to finish it off a little bit. But you can still go to this nether portal and go past the campfire to go up into this condo section. So you have the different areas, and I edited the actual staircases to be more flush with the environment, and I add some acacia there so that it would fit into the world itself, including adding some stone bricks over there and on each side, so it would look purposeful for why it's built in this area. But that's not the only area I had. I also wanted to have more. So I have this design that I hadn't fully completed, which is more of a apartment complex, like a more classic one where it's a bunch of apartments on there and a lot taller. And I was trying to figure out a staircase thing, but I couldn't get it figure out how it worked in the time that I had allotted myself for trying to get that design to work. So I ended up abandoning it, and this is another version of the design where I just had them back to back, and I could extend these two. I can't remember why I decided not to do this. I think it's because I was trying to figure out where I wanted it to fit on the server, and I just didn't like it. So I ended up going with this final design, where they're just that section, that condo version, just all out into one sort of plaza area, which ended up working out quite well. So if we go over this area, we have all of the condos in condo sort of unit sections. So you have so you have the B units because the ones in the mountain are actually A units. So you have the B unit, the C unit, and then the D unit. And you have a little campfire area in the center. So everyone can sit around the campfire if they want to, but also go to their condos. This area just seemed bland, and so I wanted to add this section to make it more exciting. And I've also wanted to add some lighting so mobs wouldn't spawn, so it'd be safer for everyone in the condos, because I did have the copper bulbs that give light because they're always on, and of course I had the lanterns as well, but I needed something for the sort of exterior paths, so I added these little lantern designs that took inspiration from the staircases, which they are right behind, so then it was working within the design style that I had already chosen for the condos itself. And I also brought back the AFK restrooms. The AFK restrooms I did for the tailor shop, and so I decided to just copy and bring them over, although I changed the exterior to go with the style of the condos. So you have the spruce logs that I have everywhere, as well as the acacia and the copper bulbs for lighting, and you have like I said, the deep slate, but they aren't entirely functional. They should be, when it's on, it should be closed. So they don't exactly work, and I don't know what I did to make it not work. I need to figure that out. So they're kind of broken right now, but it's okay. So this would be a place where a person can just be AFK and people can know, okay, this person is definitely AFK. So I decided to put it restrooms because it's like your character's going to the bathroom, which is one of the reasons the composter is there. It's just a place for them to exist and not have to worry about people annoying them, or just making it more clear to other players that yes, this person is AFK. If they're in their condo, then they can also be AFK. They can maybe put a sign down. But I wanted to, maybe they're in right here, and they wanted like a quick way to go into an AFK location. They can just pop in here, close the door, turn on the light, close the door, and then because it's also lit up, you're not going to get mobs spawning and attacking you while you are AFK either, which is one of the reasons why it was good to have those. And I wanted something in between the staircases and the middle staircase, so decided to add the AFK rooms, which fit actually quite well. To explain this whole bit with the staircase up to this area. So if you go down this way on the SMP, this is just proto design. So this is the AFK restroom I took from the tailor shop, and this is how I was designing it for the actual area. But if you go to this oak area, you will eventually, this way on the SMP, down this road, leads to the main village area. So where the villages are for trading, where the farms are for getting iron and pumpkins and stuff like that. But also if you come up here, you get to the transition to where the condos are. So you have one staircase leading into this, then you have one leading down further and down into the main plaza area. But if you go over here, then it leads into the next condo area and up into where the oak was going to continue. The player who originally made the path, which was just made out of oak, didn't have a specific area where it was going to, and so I'm having it branch off from this actually worked well with the layout of the area, which is why I put it where it was. And you, like I did before, I actually took some of the terrain. I believe this is where I have the proto area, like area that hadn't fully changed. So you have the oak bridge for what it was before. You have a bunch of stuff when I was clearing out the area. And you also have acacia because I was trying to get it all taken out, as well as a beacon supplied by one of the other players, Sib, and you have the area what it looked before, but it really transformed into a residential area that actually has most, I think there may be one or two units now that are free. One because someone moved out recently, and then another one which just hadn't been claimed yet. So that's what I've been working on. Those are my Copperwood condos, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I wasn't going too fast. I was trying to touch on everything in a way that made sense. So hope you enjoyed the video, and hope you have a good day, night, whatever time it is for you, and goodbye!